Fiscal court to order. County Attorney Sam Phillips is going to lead us in prayer, and then we'll have the pledge to the flag.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come here today grateful for all the blessings you've given us individually, as a group, as a community, as a state, as a nation. I want to ask that you bless this group here today, that they give them wisdom and discernment to do the county's business, do what's right for the people and in your sight. Pray for the state and national leaders. Pray for our veterans and first responders and those who wear the uniform. I ask that you forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stole that mic off.
Microphone.
There's no killing crime, but
All right, let's jump right in here. Minutes of our July 5th special call meeting. We need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
so moved.
Got a motion by Jeffrey. Marty, did you second it?
I'll second.
Motion by Jeffrey, second by Marty. Any question, discussion, corrections? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is a resolution. It's resolution number 2023-07-18KP Bridge. And it's a KYTC agreement for the 80/20 money. This is the new fiscal year 23-24 appropriation. We appropriated the last fiscal year. We can do the same this year on that same bridge project. We just need to authorize this resolution, authorize the judge to sign it and the Kenny Perry Bridge agreement. What this does is allows us to receive 80/20 money, $100,000, but we get up to $80,000 max, but it will go toward that bridge project.
And that's all, that can be in kind, that can be an in-kind value too, right? If we provide,
Or 20,000.
yeah,
Myron.
yeah, it's gonna go well.
Yeah.
Myron made a motion to approve.
Did you make a motion, Myron?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion. Second by Marty. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Gentlemen, if y'all recall in our, I think it was the special called meeting where we had the ordinance or the agreements on the industrial park splits. It might have been the meeting before that. But at any rate, we have a new industrial park and we've not yet had an agreement with the industrial authority on the occupational tax split. It's the Stone Givens Park. Now currently there is nothing operating in there, although that's where the Trader Joe's facility is being built. And so this agreement is on the Stones Given industrial development area, and it reflects the same 70-30 splits that we made on the other development areas.
So moved.
Yeah, Marty's got the motion. I was going to say we need a motion and a second to approve this agreement and authorize the judge to sign it. Jeffrey seconded. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, Counselor, thank you for getting these ordinances back to us in an expedient manner, because this next one is time sensitive. We had a discussion about the reapportionment in our last meeting, and we actually have to approve that by ordinance. So this is ordinance number 110.9 regarding the reapportionment of magisterial districts, and that reapportionment is according to the discussions that we had in our previous meeting. So we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Myron. So Pam, on the ordinance, we'll do a roll call.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Jeffrey Burr,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. And again, another First reading of an ordinance. This is one we had the discussion about what we would set or reduce speed limits to. This is ordinance number 530.61, and it's regarding the reduction or the setting of speed limits on the named county roads, or the county roads that are named in the ordinance, in the listing. Not every county road is in this ordinance. So we need a motion and a second to approve this ordinance to set these speed limits on these roads.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question or discussion? Pam, will roll call?
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Jeffrey Byrd,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. And in our last meeting, we had failed to have the building inspector on the employee resolution. I don't know why or how we overlooked him, but we did. But this is an employee resolution, just simply reflects the change in the building inspector pay to the 6.5% CPI that the court approved. So it's resolution number 2023-07-18 EMP.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to financial business, budget transfers. If you had an opportunity to review those, we need a motion and a second to approve those budget transfers.
So moved.
Got a motion by Jeffrey,
So,
second by Marty. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is a cash transfer of $3,290 to the CCPSL from the general fund. I had to get Nicole to remind me what all those letters were. I knew it was county clerk fund of some kind. This was the fund that had to be established last fiscal year. It's the permanent storage fees, and it's money that has to be earmarked in a completely separate account. So I need a motion and a second to approve that cash transfer from the general to this county clerk storage fee account.
Myron made a motion.
So we've got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question, discussion? So this is, and Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not like new money. We've always had this money. It's just
We did it every month, but
the auditor wants it in its own separate account.
Yes.
That's why we had to establish this account, just to have it set aside.
well, and they can use it for like some of their document storage and they want it specifically used for the document stuff.
Right.
So, for
My
equipment.
point was, though, this is not money that we're spending that we weren't previously spending. It's just earmarked in a different way.
Well, it used to be in the general fund. We used to
Yeah,
just
right.
have it in the general fund.
Right.
As a revenue coming in, but, now they
Now,
want it.
It has to
as
be
of
earmarked a
last
certain
July.
way.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor, any other question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, if you had an opportunity to review the bills and claims, we need a motion and a second to approve those claims.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott, a second by Marty. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And next, the June 30th, 2023 financial statements, which would be the final monthly financial statement of the 22-23 fiscal year. We need a motion and a second to approve that financial statement subject to audit and authorize the county treasurer and the county judge to sign it.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron, a second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And then finally here, the fiscal year 22-23 treasurer settlement. We need a motion and a second to approve that and authorize the county treasurer to sign it. I don't know that the county judge has to sign that document, but again, I think it would be subject to audit.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Boy, we zipped through that, gentlemen. Moving on to reports, on Friday, August the 4th, is the Hometown Harvest Dinner at the barn at Bethel Grove. We've got invitations here. We also have a request to be a $500 sponsor for the event and gathering. I don't recall whether we sponsored the gathering last year. I think most of us went. So,
I don't remember sponsoring, but
Wasn't it at the Methodist church last
No,
year?
it was at Beth.
It was at the barn at
Grove,
Bethel
wasn't it?
Grove
I think,
Was it
yeah.
Last year too?
yeah. Yeah. And all the this is the dinner where 100% of the proceeds goes to the farmer's market. So, anyway, we can go if you're so minded to want to sponsor. It's $500, but I would think we'd need a motion on that if we decide to sponsor, if we want to sponsor it. Otherwise, it is $55 a person to attend, or $50 per person if you bring two.
What's the date on that?
It is Friday, August the 4th,
Okay.
starting at 6 p.m. And I mean, I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other as whether we sponsor it, but
I don't have a better problem. I'm just trying to, it's for the farmer's market, so I'm trying to figure out where could we use that? I know there's a line in there for county fair. We don't have a county fair anymore. I don't know if we could,
I think we eliminated, we
that
pulled
went
that
to
one.
Renaissance.
We use different
And we
summer-
moved that
summer-
money to,
Renaissance.
huh?
That went to the, well, I say Renaissance, the
Summer.
Yeah,
Summer Vibes.
Yeah,
Vibes.
yeah.
I move we do the $500 sponsorship.
All right, so we got a motion to do the $500 sponsorship.
second.
Got a second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And I guess we need to get a list. If you think you want to attend, we need to get a list so we can have them just send us an invoice for however many people want to go. I mean, that goes clerk, sheriff, jailer.
May I say that?
Yes, sir. We just need a list so we can say, hey, we need X amount of tickets for the county. But now, bear in mind, the county doesn't cover spouses either. It'd just be for us. I mean, the spouse can go, but we'll have to borrow some money from Myron to pay for all of our spouses.
You say it's
That's awful kind of
55
you.
for a couple?
I think so.
50 per person for a couple.
Okay,
Yeah. 55 individual ticket,
okay,
100 for a couple's ticket.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. And here's some information on it if y'all want. I can make you a copy if you want to get a paper on it. Another thing that may require some action here is Bob's not here. He had a family emergency this morning. But they're doing the digging and the prepping on the tower site out at the park. And the piers, I mean, they some sizable holes for those piers. Well, in one spot, there was some debris that was extracted that can't be reused anywhere else or anything else done with. It was mixed with dump material. So it's probably at least one, if not two, 30-yard containers of material. And I was talking with Bobby about it this morning. For us to load it and get it out of there, it would probably be much easier if we had a container sitting there by it so we could just load it, get it in a container than trying to load it, transport it, unload it, and all that. Of course, Scotty's will charge us the minimal fee for hauling the debris off. It'll be like $210 plus $50.07 per ton. From looking at the size of the debris pile, probably, I'm going to say 1.5 30-yard containers, possibly 2. So you're probably, I mean, until we haul it off and they weigh it, there's no way to say exactly what the fee will be, but probably $800-900.
So the contractor did not take this in consideration when we bid the job that,
Well, I think part of the contract did not include like trash removal. I mean, all, rock, dirt is one thing, but this was actual
junk.
dump. Yeah. But, I mean, really, we've got, I guess, we've got 3 options. We either get a container out there and make it convenient to load it and move it, or we try to haul it, or we leave it laying at the park, which I don't really think is an option.
Container's gonna be the best route out.
It will by far be the most expedient route.
You have to have a motion on that, or?
I don't know that we have to, but I would like, my preference would be that we have a motion to get the containers to
If you're going to spend that money,
Yeah.
it's probably cleaner.
Yeah.
Bobby, would it be that much trouble to load it up? Oh. We're gonna do with it in the container?
We're just going to dump it in the container and they're going to haul it off.
Oh, okay.
He can bring it to your place.
It'd be much simpler for everyone just to, it's gonna cost a haul off anyway.
Yeah. And like I say, we're not knowing exactly how much is there and just an estimate on the haul for 2 containers and just trying to get an estimate on the weight, I would say the anticipated cost would be $800 to $1,000 for both containers. But I would think, and I don't know, if this is part of the Motorola deal, could we not get this covered out of the ARPA money and even possibly, I mean, I could make a request that the city cover half of it because they're covering half the cost of this venture anyway.
You would think, because, I mean,
I don't know.
And
tires
I mean,
going,
and here's the other
you
thing.
had to anticipate something, I mean, the tires going on the.
I mean, I'll reach out to them and
dump,
see if they will cover half the cost regardless. But I mean, we can check to see if we could fund that out of the ARPA.
You have to check with RJ.
Yeah, we'll check with RJ. I'm not 100% sure that we can though.
Well, I'll move to do the container.
All right, so we got a motion to get the containers so that we can get this unsightly pile moved from the park. I just need a second.
Second.
Got a second by Myron. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, gentlemen, you have some papers, and I know, I'm sure that the jailer has some questions, but we had a request, Michelle had a request to bump some pay beyond the 6.5% CPI raise, and my indication, and I talked to Eric, was I can't authorize that to happen without action of the court. So, yeah, so the magistrates have some information this morning. You guys see what we approved in the budget.
Maybe I misunderstood I don't think we were on the same page. Mason thought one thing, I thought another. On our pay scale, we did budget for what I thought was correct, and that was making the part-time $17 an hour to get some part-times in there.
Right.
But also taking from our $15 an hour starting pay for full-timers to $17 an hour. And then after they've been there 6 months, then they get the other, I think the 6.5% was $17.57. Then they get the other 57 cents after they've been there 6 months. That lets us know if they're going to stay or not. So I think Mason and I, we talked. He was under the understanding that full-time started at $15 an hour. I don't have anybody at 15 right now. I think they're all at $16.50.
Well, what I understood, here's what my understanding, and this is what I think that the court voted to do when we budgeted. Those $15 an hour employees with a 6.5% raise would go to $15.98. And my understanding was that would be the starting rate then for any new hires that were full-time. The part-time, yes, we did agree to $17 an hour. And I don't know if you recall, and gentlemen, hopefully y'all recall, and others that were in the budget discussion recall, I'm okay with that, the bump up in the part-time pay. In fact, I think I recall you saying if we could get the part-time pay high enough, I could probably staff with part-time only.
Right.
And my reservation, I was okay with it. My reservation, if y'all recall, was that if we start moving all the part-time up that kind of rate, then you have the discussion about what about our full-time people and where do they want to be and what's going to happen. So yet my understanding was that
I just think we have miscommunication.
Yes, my understanding was, and this is exactly what was plugged into the budget that was voted on and approved, was that every employee, full-time employee, was getting a 6.5% raise.
Right.
And then the part-time was going to bump to 17, but that didn't change any full-time pay rates. And here's, because what happens is, if we had $15 an hour employees that we said, okay, we're getting a 6.5% raise, that's $15.98, essentially $16 an hour. If we're bumping all of those, then another dollar, which we did for sheriff's deputies, road deputies. Now, everyone at the sheriff's office didn't get an extra dollar, just road deputies, and there was reasoning for that. But if we go bumping those employees up a dollar, then we have to look at bumping every employee an additional dollar.
Well, and I understand what you're saying, and this goes back to, I guess, how we budget. I look at it as it going to the full-time line item, that whatever that is. And I was under the impression, or at least this is what I had anticipated, was to take the full-time to the 17, or actually budgeted would be the 1757. We're not going to use that for the first 6 months on the employees regardless.
But
we did turn that budget in that way.
But once the court voted on the 6.5%, that's how we actually put the budget together. That was voted on. And I mean, you guys have a list. I mean, y'all had the list during the budgeting process. You got another copy of it this morning.
I think.
Listen, I'm not here to fight over pay rates.
We're not.
I'm just
we're not.
saying
I think we had a misunderstanding.
If we bring another group of employees up, we've got to look at every employee across the board. And here's another thing we need to understand when we're talking part-time versus full-time, because we could make this argument even. It costs for every full-time employee the cost of health insurance, retirement, workers' comp, holidays, accrued leave, they all total close to $8 an hour.
I know.
For those benefits.
Maybe a little bit more.
Possibly, but
That's
roughly $8 an hour. Insurance alone is $5 an hour.
Right.
To be exact, it's $5.19 an hour on a 40-hour week.
So you're saying that with this $17 an hour, that you'll fall under the amount of money that was voted on?
Yes, we
jail
budgeted.
personnel?
we budgeted $17.57 on the lowest pay for every full-time employee.
They may have put that together for what they worked on, Myron, but that's not what's in the budget that.
No, I'm just looking at the number here.
Right, that we voted on.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Just that dollar amount.
and if that rate changes, I feel like we're obligated to look at that rate change for every county employee.
Well, I totally agree.
Because what we agreed to, outside of merit or promotion raises, was that every employee get a 6.5% raise. And it wasn't, and I mean, and here, listen, I'm not here to have a fight.
We're not.
But like we had one payroll change come in on an employee that was hired part-time
At 17?
at 17.
Right.
Hired on June the 29th at 17. 1 week later, moved to full-time at the same rate. That was not the intent of the $17 an hour part-time.
I understand what you're saying, and like I said,
And so when we put the budget together and we budgeted across the board 6.5% raise for current salaries.
well, see,
In addition to, I mean, I get if you have someone in your structure that is.
I don't have any structure anymore. I used to have
Well,
that.
I don't
and we
even know,
stopped
I don't know which is higher, lieutenant or captain?
Captain.
Okay, so let's say you have someone that's a lieutenant, and lieutenant pay is this. And in the middle of the fiscal year, captain quits, changes jobs, whatever, and you move this person to captain. I understand they're gonna get an
Yeah.
increase in pay to that, whatever that rate that captain is. So, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the across-the-board 6.5% raise, and that's what we voted to do.
Yeah. Well, I had a matrix, and Marty didn't like the matrix, and it worked for our organization. It's like if you were a sergeant, you got paid this. If you were a lieutenant, you got paid this. If you're a captain, you got paid this. That's what the job paid. And then there was a raise given. Well, I take that raise, put it into the budget of what everybody's making, average it out, and said, and then that amount goes to this job. That amount goes to this job, and that amount goes to this job. When we changed it, then it's like my higher pay keeps going out the door and my lower pay keeps getting kicked. And I knew that was going to happen, and I told the court when we did that, it was going to create an issue. Now, here's the issue. So I'm just trying to make it right.
Are you talking about a matrix where you would take the 6.5% and then equalize it out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I don't think anybody on this court like that.
yeah,
I mean, you
I
call
mean,
me out on it, but,
yeah.
if I was making $20 an hour and there's an employee making $15 an hour, and I seen on camera, we're all getting 6.5% raise, and then I look at my check and I only got 4.
Well, it wasn't
I'm
like
gonna
that.
be
I think it was a
I'm gonna be
dime.
asking why.
It was a
Why
dime
them other
difference
employees,
from top to bottom.
why one employee's getting a larger percentage than I was getting.
Right.
That's why I didn't like it,
Yeah.
because that's just like,
Well, but
Keep on.
to kind of just move this along, the bottom line is, without fiscal court approval, I can't approve any pay rate change that's not a merit raise above the 6.5%. But I would caution the court that if we make that approval, we're gonna have to look at every employee getting another $1 an hour. And I don't think budget-wise, we're able to withstand that. I mean, and
Well, it's in our budget. I mean, it's already in our budget for this year. So, I don't know. I have a feeling we're gonna be minus some employees. Like I said, I think one thing that I was presenting, one thing that you received, and one thing that you was presenting and I received was two different things. And that happens, and it's happened.
Well, I mean,
no fault to you, no
possible.
fault.
I thought all the discussion on the budget and the 6.5, I thought it was all pretty clear.
but just to clarify, your budget is in the budget.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
y'all
you
don't
prepare a
have a
budget,
separate
but then we
budget
take it
from
and
what
form it into this
we were
budget.
Talking about what I turned in for my budget.
Right.
I know, but that's not your budget.
Right,
I
but
mean,
the county
what's in-
treasurer's obligation is, once the court says, okay, pay rate of every employee is X, and every employee's getting a
Same
6.5% raise, The obligation of the county treasurer is to
Same as
prepare
this.
that budget according to that, so that's how the budget was prepared, that was passed.
I think what he's trying to say is that what we asked for is also in the county treasurer's budget.
So you're saying the money's there?
The money's there.
Well, I don't know how the numbers work and how you're discussing and how that's going. I mean, mine's based on 6.5% for every employee. I mean, I don't know how you made it work or anything like that, but mine is based on all full-time people at 6.5%.
Yeah.
Because we got overtime, you all run that 36.48, so you got the overtime, we got holiday. I mean, there's extra built in there for that purpose.
We build that in.
But that's it. I mean, it's 6.5 for full-time people, and that's it.
Based on the rate they were at beginning July 1.
So this number could be, if there's overtime and,
Well, the number could
And
be,
other
oh,
things,
the
it
number
could-
in the budget's gonna be bigger, accounting
Yeah.
for overtime, holidays,
Right.
so on and so forth.
Is there, this, what you just handed
But
out,
you're-
is there
what I'm-
overtime included in this?
Yes.
So what's got me confused is these numbers that you just handed out, they're the exact same numbers that's in our budget.
What you have to be careful on, even though that overtime and holiday overtime and all that's in there, if you go adding this in, about 10 months into this, then that line item is gonna be expended.
could.
It's gonna be spent.
Good.
Well, and I go back to the point of this. And I do understand there's training, there's merit, there's promotion, there's different things that happen throughout a fiscal year that could cause an employee to have an increase in pay. And that's warranted. It's understandable and warranted. My thing is, when we as a court sit here and vote that every employee's getting a 6.5% raise, we put the budget together as such, then we're presented with an extra dollar here and an extra dollar there. We've got to take a look at that for every employee, and we don't have that in the budget.
Oh, no.
Myron, this really takes into account what you were trying to do earlier.
Yeah, but when you went from $15 to $17, we should see some difference in these numbers.
Actually, my lowest paid is $16.50. They start at $15.50, I think. And then after a year, they go to $16.50.
But I mean, and I go back, Jailer, my point is, just like in this situation with the one pay rate, if the lowest pay is $16.50, you hire someone at $17 an hour part-time, and you say to them, hey, are you interested in a full-time job? According to the budget we have, they would revert back to that $16.50 at full-time, not continue at the 17.
The $16.50 with a 6.5 is a $17.57. That's where the $17.57 come in, because they're already making $16.50, and that's 17 now with the 6.5 is a $17.57.
Well, the other thing, and I know before I even say this is going to be taken wrong, but it's just, I have to say it. The treasurer and the finance officer plugged in the 6.5% raise for every employee, and the only problem we have is with the jail. No one else said it. I mean, it's plugged in, it is what it is, and it's where it's at. I mean, it's what was voted on, that's what we done.
That's fine. That's fine, Mason. That's cool.
Okay.
Here's your $150,000 check from the commissary to the court, and your deal with the life jackets, it's almost done, waiting on materials.
Good deal.
Thank
Well,
And if we have any issues with people walking out, there's a tail that goes with that, and I apologize. It's just miscommunication.
okay. All right. All right, I think that's all out of my department head meeting. I think I've asked all of you, and I'll send out an email, and everybody said 9 o'clock in the morning was good. One other thing real quick, I handed you guys the proposed questionnaire on the employee survey. Look it over. If you have a question or a concern or think something needs to be added or deleted, please let me know ASAP. Myron, you have anything?
No report.
Scott?
no, sir.
Jeffrey?
There's a meeting at the Historical Society tonight. Tim Hughes talking agriculture. stuff, the government agriculture stuff, and everybody in the community's invited.
Is it a dinner or just a meeting?
Just a meeting for us, I know, but everybody's invited to come listen to Tim.
I can't believe Tim's not bringing us some fried chicken or something. Marty, anything?
I don't have anything.
Counselor?
No, sir.
Sheriff? Clerk? Bill? Fire? Road? Okay.
Thursday morning, I'm gonna meet with Scott Murphy out at Kenny Perry, and I don't know if any of y'all have seen the plans, but the original plans drawn up were to widen the approaches by quite a bit and do some dirt work, and we don't have the right of way to do that. So we're gonna meet Thursday morning to redesign that some way, and possibly we can take out the water line movement, which might, if we do, I don't know exactly what that will deduct, but that will deduct some off that amount, so we'll know Thursday.
All right, gentlemen, I do need, excuse me, Counselor, I do need a motion and a second for an executive session. According to KRS 61.810, paragraph C, which would be discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency, and also paragraph F, which are discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual or employee.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Marty, and we will convene over into the executive session meeting room. Nelson?